Woo, doggy. With that said, let's jump right into it. Starting with some Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
We got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot to talk about here. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. This is 3 years after the release of the original game. And it's kind of a huge mess right now. So I think what my goal here is going to be is to just kind of shed some lights and let everybody know kind of what is happening. So there's going to be 2 major things. The first thing is going to be a free patch. So the free patch is going to be an update to the already existing game. And then on top of that, they are also releasing an expansion, which is going to be Phantom Liberty. The Phantom Liberty expansion is going to be $30. And there's a lot of changes that are happening to Cyberpunk, and it's not exactly clear what's going to be included in the patch and what's going to be included in the expansion pack, but we do know that all of these things are coming. So first things first, if you guys are not aware about Cyberpunk, we talked about it in the last episode. We actually gave it an honorable mention in the biggest flops of all time. This game was so hyped and people were so excited for it, and Keanu Reeves was like, helping with the promotion, and like this was huge. This was in the game. This was a huge drop, and it went about as bad as it could possibly go for a game drop. Like the only thing worse that could have happened is like if everybody downloaded the game and it just never made it off like the start screen. Other than that, it went as bad as you could possibly go for a game. But there is going to be a ton of different things that they're adding to this, whether it be in the expansion pack or whether it's going to be in the update, that I personally think is going to make this game way, way better.
Right.
I have a gigantic list. So, Adam, what are your initial thoughts about this?
So, kind of going off what you said with how it released in such a terrible state, the game has essentially bounced back in terms of like it brought players back into it after even patches in the past.
Yes.
But so that is really exciting to see with a game like this that's supposed to be super good, and eventually they did make it a playable game and brought some of the fan base back, and really. To have a DLC that's $30, they better get this one right, or it's not going to be such a good thing.
Yes.
I also want to say, so kind of going off to some of the patches that or issues that are being fixed that I've seen, not an extensive list, but they're going to have huge changes to the police response. That was something I saw as well. It's going to be a new story that takes place in Dogtown. Is that what the name of it is?
Yeah, so that's going to be that is going to be the new. That's going to be in the expansion. So that's going to be the new district, the 6th district.
And with it also, really the big thing that feels with this expansion is it's to help overhaul the game to a point where it should be. And I think that's the biggest thing of this expansion. And again, it could bring another player base to it. However, the game is still full price. Like the game itself, 3 years later. And like for me to know the past of it, like I don't want to go out there buying a game that's full price when it had so many issues in the past. And then you expect me to buy the expansion for $30 more? No thanks.
I think we can touch on that.
Yep.
Let's touch on all the updates first, so we can kind of circle back to that.
Let's pull up the trailer too once we're ready for that.
Yeah. Let's pull up the trailer and take a look at it because it's actually pretty cool. I guess we could jump into it real quick. I do think that even though the game right now is full price, it would not surprise me at all if, maybe a little bit after release, they kind of come out with a new edition of, like a cheaper, like a deluxe that's like $70 that includes the expansion pack and the game or something like that.
Right. And I did see on Steam that there is a little bit of a deal or like a bundle that you can do.
Yeah, like a bundling. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bundling. But what we're taking a look at right now is you can kind of see some of these revamps. So you can see obviously Keanu Reeves is going to be a part of this expansion pack, which is going to be great. They're actually saying that it's more Keanu Reeves than was in the original gameplay. So I'm super excited for that.
It's actually going to focus. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I just think it still has the vibe that made it intriguing. So like you can see this kind of like futuristic cyber kind of city and stuff, and it's like this very cinematic blue tone universe. Like a lot of stuff is taking place at night, and I think visually it's giving exactly what it gave the first go around of what made it feel like it was going to be a good game. It's a very cinematic experience with a very just kind of cool and like pretty landscape. And I'm actually kind of excited about this. I'm not going to lie.
I did. So to kind of go off that, I did put it in my wish list because like, okay, it does look really cool. And I will be getting it at some point, again, waiting for a sale for me. But it's also really cool. So it is going to focus more on Keanu Reeves' story as like his backstory a little bit more too, and get more of his experience and stuff. So that's cool. And that actor that was just shown, that he's a big actor too, right? I don't remember a specific name.
What is his name?
We'll have to look it up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in a lot of movies too.
He's in a ton of movies. I know I wrote it down. It's like Eldris Elba or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, now
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Definitely.
Guys, I'm sorry. We straight up. I butchered that name. I know I butchered that name, but I promise we will get it right and give the man credit. But yeah, kind of what we saw in that trailer. If you guys were just listening on the Spotify, it looks a lot like the original release. Everything that kind of made it feel like it was going to be a cool game, and the basic premise of this expansion pack is that the president of the new United States is flying over the district of Dogtown. Her plane gets shot down, and it's your objective to kind of go in here and kind of help her evacuate out of Dogtown, right? A very escape from LA kind of situation. Yeah. Like that's kind of the storyline. But all of these characters that you're seeing in the expansion in the trailer, you have like 4 or 5 different characters that you're going to be kind of playing with, and every one of these characters has the same objective to help the president out, or so you think. I mean, obviously there could be like an M. Night Shyamalan twist to it or something, but you're not really sure who you can trust and like who you should work with and stuff. And I think the idea is kind of cool. And the way that they're working this expansion in is for players that have never played the original game, this expansion pack, if you get it, is not going to be like its own kind of standalone thing. It actually works into the storyline of the game, which I think is really cool because you're so used to getting like a DLC that's kind of like after the fact, where it's like it relates to the story, but it doesn't really relate to the story. Right. It's like you find some random NPC and they just suck you into this DLC content or something like that. But like this, they've actually made into the game. So you need to get to a certain point in the storyline of the main game storyline, and then this expansion pack will open up. And for players that have already played the game and have beaten the game, that there will be a way to kind of fast track to the expansion. But again, if you've never played the game before, this is just like a continuation. It's literally, that's why I keep calling it an expansion instead of a download content. Like it's just basically expanding on the story and just kind of gives you more, which I think is a really, really, really cool idea. Right.
And that is a good point. Another thing to kind of go in what the city of the district of Dogtown is it's like almost like a rundown post-apocalyptic, like this very poor like neighborhood that's very like fiery, and like you from the video I saw, it's like there's a like almost like a border patrol where you have to like do certain things to get in and out. You have to make the right connections so you can go in and out of Dogtown into Night City, kind of that kind of feel. So that's kind of really cool. It looks really cool, and kind of to your point is the way they're continuing on with the story is really neat, in that it's not just like, oh, you finished the story, let's slap a new spot to go to just to give you something to do that, since you've played it and now it doesn't have any more playable or replay value. But this is cool. So
yeah, that's kind of cool. And like we said, the district of Dogtown is very unique in this setting. They've been showcasing a lot of cool things that you can do within this town. One of which is like the black market. So they've shown this kind of like, market space of like underground, like an underground kind of market space where you're going to be able to get exclusive weapons, exclusive gear, I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be really, really, really good. So let's just real quick. I want to jump and just kind of say all of these changes that I have listed off. And guys, honestly, I'm so sorry. I'm going to break the podcast rule again, and I need to go to my notes because it's literally so much stuff that I honestly just can't remember it all. There's one thing that's going to maybe upset people and maybe not upset people. Okay. Is in this expansion pack, they actually dropped last gen consoles. So this expansion pack will not be available on your PS4s. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But also that tells me that the update that they're planning on doing, this patch and this expansion pack, very focused on next gen. So I mean, you're gonna be getting. They've taken the last gen consoles out of it, which gives them more freedom to really kind of focus in and dial in something that is a quality product for the next generation of consoles. And I think that only speaks volumes to how good that this is going to be. A few things that they've reworked, item drops have been reworked. So that was one of the complaints about the original drop, was just item drops were terrible. You would always just pick up like nonsense and garbage that you would throw away. So they've actually revamped the item drops to drop better weapons, better, you're actually going to be able to pick stuff up that's like
worthwhile,
useful to you, and instead of just throwing away garbage and stuff like that.
That's one of the big issues I have when I play the Division. It's like I spend hours looking for like certain weapons and certain gear sets, and then like 95% of the stuff I pick up, I'm like deconstructing, like never gonna use. So that's a good thing to hear, because some of these loot and shoot games, it is brutal to kind of pick up stuff like that.
Just end up with an inventory of like 900 things that you end up selling for like 4 pennies.
Well, that's the issue with the Division. Sorry, like I know I'm getting off topic here, but that's the issue with the Division. You get 150 slot pieces like to pick up stuff. And then in your stash, you only get, I think, 200, which is insane. Like, that's not enough, especially when you're dropping 50. You find so much, but whatever. All right, back to the subject. I digress.
Okay.
So.
I totally understand. Little side note, as a Dark Souls player, I understand having a stacked inventory with a bunch of garbage and just having to throw it out.
Yeah.
So, I'm right there with you. They basically reworked the drop system. So all of these... all your guns, all of your armor, all of your clothing, all of that stuff is a tier system now, and it's tiered 1 through 4. And basically the way that it's going to work, from everything that I've seen, is they're going to be able to know what tier stuff you currently have equipped, and it'll give you a percentage drop rate that will drop a higher tier, whether it's a weapon or an outfit or anything like that, based on what you already have equipped, so that your drop rate of picking up something worthwhile is going to be much, much better, which I think people are going to be excited for. The weapon vendors, they've revamped all the weapon vendors, so now each weapon vendor will have exclusive items, and it's not paid content exclusive items. It's just they're adding exclusives to each of the vendors to give them a little bit of their own personal feel. One of the big things that they're changing is your outfit will no longer work as your armor.
I saw that.
Yeah. People really, really hated that your outfit worked as your armor, because you couldn't, if you like. Yes, you might be wearing something that's like super protective, and it sounds like a dumb thing, but you want to make your character look the way that you want your character to look. Like you want to rock something cool, but like maybe this cool jacket that you want to rock is like not as protective as this like sweater that you think is stupid, but you're like, whatever. You know what I mean? So like, they've totally revamped that. You were talking about the reworked police system, which is going to be I think is going to be really, really great. So now all of the police officers are going to spawn with cars. So it's not going to be that, oh, I just have to randomly run away and the cops will be off me in 4
Yeah.
seconds kind of thing.
Okay.
And they got rid of that stupid drone thing that always just follows you around, which people hated. There's a reworked AI for wanted levels. It's going to be much more like GTA.
Cool.
Which I'm super excited about. They overhauled the entire open world to make it feel like there's more going on. So that was another kind of complaint, was like cyberspace, or, it's like this vast open area. And we talk about this all the time. They made a gigantic open world, but it wasn't full of anything.
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? It was like, yeah, there was not a lot going on. So they've revamped the AI. So now you're going to see like gang on gang combat. You're going to be seeing, like, you'll be walking through the streets and seeing like the police officers chasing other NPCs. And they did a lot more to make it feel like it's actually a city of something that's going on. They also added car combat, so you can use weapons out of your vehicles now, which I know players were not super excited that you could not shoot out of the windows of a car or anything like that. So they've revamped that. That's going to be cool. And some of the cars have built-in weapons. And one of the cool things is when you're riding like a bike and stuff like that, you can now use melee weapons when you're on the bike. So like road rash style, you could have like your machete while you're on the bike and
Okay,
stuff like
cool.
that. So I think that is going to be super, super cool. They revamped the enemy AI for better combat. So the AI on the combat is going to be much more smarter, much more aggressive. They're not going to just be taking cover all the time, which I know people were not happy about. They've reworked the button system so that dodging has its own button now.
Okay.
Because the dodge mechanic in the original game was just absolute trash. So now dodge has its own button, so you can actually dodge things.
That's cool.
They curved the difficulty, which there was. It seemed like when you set the difficulty, there was no intermediate, right? So it was either super easy or ridiculously hard.
Gotcha.
And they've curved the difficulty to give players a challenging experience, but not like I want to throw my controller at the wall experience.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which I think people are gonna love. They reworked the skills and the perks, which
I saw that too.
I don't
Yep.
know. Yeah, they did a lot of consolidation. That was a big thing when the game dropped. Is like the skill tree and the perk tree was just like
Overwhelming. Didn't know what to do.
Overwhelmingly insane. Yeah, like overwhelmingly insane. And it's like you had a skill tree for guns, you had a skill tree for melee weapons. You had like it was honestly just absolutely ridiculous. So they reworked that, consolidated all of that into a much smarter, easier to use system in which it's going to be much more about ability based instead of like percentages. Like they would have abilities where it's like, oh, you'd get like a 30% increase in damage. Like they kind of moved away from that, right? So now they're doing like new character abilities, which I think people will be super, super excited about. So yeah. It is basically like a new game.
It really is like a new game.
It really is.
And I think that's what, like, again, it's going to bring a new character or like new player base into the game. Like I said, from the launch time, I looked at it and I saw all the negative feedback. I saw the reviews. I was like, I'm not getting this game right now. And then I just never, and the way the game industry works, man, if you don't hit it right the first time, it is hard to bring people back because new games are being released very rapidly and a lot of good games are being released rapidly. And to try to bring somebody new into a game that's been out for essentially now 3 years, like you said, it has to be good. And like I said, I'm going to try it. I'm definitely going to download the game, hopefully beat the story, then play it. But so let's see.
I think it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And all the changes that we just kind of went over and we talked about, I think it's going to make it a much more enjoyable experience. I think it's going to be the experience that we were supposed to get the first time and never got. And, honestly, just like you said, like the number one reason I think that this is going to be an amazing patch and an amazing expansion is because it doesn't have a choice.
Right.
Like it literally does not have a choice. Like they know that if they don't nail this, like done. Like dead in the water. And there's already a sequel they've already planned a sequel to Cyberpunk. So I mean, they know a lot is riding on this.
Right.
Getting the fans back, like to the success of the next game, like there is so much riding on this, and I just don't think they're gonna let it go out without being amazing.
Right. And that, like you said, it has to be. I do want to kind of go back to your point with the last gen. I understand why they're doing it, because last gen is last gen, and now next gen is current gen. You know what I mean? Like, so that
Right.
at some point they have to leave it in the dust. You know what I mean? Like PS4, Xbox One, it's kind of it's in the past now. It's been 4 years, 3 years, 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's time. You know what I mean? I feel like it's time to start ripping off the Band-Aid. Sorry, all you PS4 players and Xbox One players. It's time.
Yeah, and this is this is where I get kind of I get kind of on the fence, right? Because I mean, let's face it, consoles are expensive.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, consoles are expensive, right? And I feel bad that like somebody who has a PS4 that like can't get a PS5 right now is not going to be able to enjoy it. Like, there's got to be somebody out there that has a PS4 and like Cyberpunk is their favorite game,
Yeah.
and like they're not going to be able to enjoy this, and that part sucks. And then also, I understand that like like you said, like next gen is not next gen anymore. Like it's current gen. So like at some point we have to be like, all right, we can't
We can't put money into
be making
something, yeah.
games for Xbox One anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah. So
And kind of one more thing with
it's
that.
a 50-50.
One more thing with that is I think why the games lasted so long and so much stuff was being put onto that is all the scalpers that did buy them and just destroyed the market. Like you cannot find an Xbox One or like Series X for a year or two, or a PlayStation 5 for a year or two, and now it's starting.
PS5 even worse.
Yeah, but now it's starting to be the point you can go to the store and be like, "Yep, here it is," and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I know like the price is expensive, but with the way the market is now, I think there will be a chance to pick up these consoles now because a lot of people do have them during Black Fridays and big sales. I think that's going to kind of help bring some of those PS4, Xbox One players back to the PS5, which is going to be cool for that. So,
yeah. So, I mean, hopefully you guys got the next gen consoles, or your PC gamers, or hopefully if you do want the next gen consoles and you don't have them yet, you'll be able to grab them.
Yeah.
I hope you guys, I feel for everybody,
Yeah.
man. Consoles are expensive, games are expensive, PCs. I don't even want to talk.
yeah.
I don't even want to talk about PC
Yeah.
gaming. But yeah, it's expensive. But I mean, like we said, at some point they do have to kind of move on. We're not making games for Super Nintendo anymore.
As much as David wants. As much as David wants.
Yeah, as much as I want, I would love some new SNES drops. The one thing, so honestly, kind of, Adam, do you have any closing words?
I don't think so.
this?
No, I think we kind of hit majority of what this new expansion is going to be, and like I said, I am excited for it to see what they can do to bring up such a new player base as myself, because I'm going to try it as soon as this drops. I'm going to get it. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we did go through a lot of stuff. I do want to real quick, just because I do have his name in my notes, and I want to make sure that I do not butcher this name. The character that we were talking about in game is called. His name is Solomon Reed, and he is played by Idris Elba.
Which is he in? He's also in Far Cry, right? Is he in Far Cry?
He's in Far Cry. I think he's a really famous actor. He's like
oh, okay, yeah. Now that I see his face even closer, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Keanu Reeves, like movie star.
Yeah.
He's not just like a game guy.
Right. And actually, I don't think he was in Far Cry. I think I'm thinking of somebody else. So.
Yeah.
But gotcha. Yeah, he's in a bunch. Yeah. But cool.
But I think the game's gonna be really good. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely gonna get the expansion pack. Because honestly, I played like 15 minutes of Cyberpunk when it first came out, and I was like, this is trash. And then never touched it again. So it will be a brand new, fresh experience to me. And I will keep you guys updated. I do want to say one thing, because we kind of been talking about the next gen consoles. And Adam's gonna need to help me out with this, because I know that I'm gonna butcher. I know that I'm gonna butcher this. There is some bad news for PC gamers.
Uh-oh.
So the new specs the new minimum required specs in order to play this game on 4K. You do need SSD. You need 12 gigs of RAM. You need a Core i9 Ryzen 7900 and a 3080.
Whew. I think you're in the clear of those eggs. Or Dave.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did. I think your PC is going to be in the clear to really get the full capability of the game. I'm sure you can run it on like medium settings and be fine with kind of like the computer I have. But the SSD, however, I think that's becoming a new thing with games because because I actually played most of my games on like an external hard drive. But I just bought an SSD because of that, because Starfield's going to be SSD only. So, yeah, I mean, again, the games are getting more powerful, and it's kind of what you expect. Like, you're going to need kind of beast machines to run some of these games because they're progressing in quality and just overall feel of a game. And it makes sense. Unfortunately, my computer probably won't be able to run that game at 4K, but I am excited to try it at medium setting.
So yeah, I think the one, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the one that's the big one is the Core i9.
Core i9, and then the 3080 also is pretty bonkers.
3080 is pretty beefy too.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So I do just want to throw this out here, and guys, please double check. These are the new specs that I have found everywhere, but again, please double check. This might actually kind of suck because there's going to be some players that are playing Cyberpunk right now, and then after this update, their machine is not going to be capable of playing the game
at lower settings. I think they'll be able to play the game, just lower settings, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, if you guys are Cyberpunk PC players, and you're not super excited about these changes and you do not have these settings on your PC, just be aware that before you download the patch, that it's going to make it harder to run on your machine. So if you're completely happy with Cyberpunk the way that it is and you do not have these specs on your machine, maybe just skip that patch.